Jai Sadgurudeo. Good morning to all of you. Welcome to Weekly Satsang English, organized by North America Institute of Vihangam Yoga. My name is Ruchi Avasthi, and I have joined this session from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. In the current times, our day-to-day life has become busy in fulfilling our physical and mental requirements and social responsibilities too. In this fast paced routine life, the requirements of the soul are often forgotten. So, first, I would like to congratulate every one of you for taking some time from your busy schedule to fulfill the requirement of your soul. Through Satsang, we now transition to our next phase of Satsang. We will be talking about fall of the soul. This is a classroom-style interactive session that will help us to deepen our understanding and confidence in sharing the profound teachings of Vihangam Yoga. By joining us in full strength on Sunday Satsang, we can collectively build a stronger and more confident NAIVY Samaj. Let us come together with open hearts and minds to learn, grow, and inspire each other. Our speaker of the day is Sri Rangji, who is sincere disciple of Sadgurudeo and inspire us with his seva bhav, devotion, and knowledge. Let us feel grateful for this opportunity today to indulge in deep spiritual knowledge. I would like to request Sri Rangji to continue the discussion on fall of the soul.
Thank you, Ruchiji, for kind introduction. And thank you, NAIVY, for giving me this seva opportunity to talk about this topic. Jai Sadgurudeo to all of you. Before I begin, I would like to offer my prayers at the holy feet of Lord Sadgurudeo. So I request everyone to keep your eyes closed and stay focused on the prayer. बार बार वंदन करूं सद्गुरुदेव हमार, यहाँ वहाँ सब ठाम में महिमा अपरंपार। शरण शरण मैं शरण हूँ, हे गुरु बंदी छोड़। मोहे उबारो हे गुरु, यह 100 बार निहोर। So welcome everyone again. So today we will be discussing about fall of a soul. But before we talk about fall of a soul, we need to understand, from where soul is falling, and where it falls, and where it is actually falling to. So we have, through survey already learned that soul is a conscious entity. And we also learned that the permanent home of the soul is the 3/4 conscious zone of Paramatma. It is also a it is a place where we as a soul, or not we as a soul, but the salvated souls experience the eternal bliss. And it's a region where soul is in its purest form, and that purest form is called as Hansadeha. It is also referred to as a superconscious state of the soul. So in this state, soul is experiencing the eternal bliss, and it is also a state of liberation where soul is united with the supreme soul. So when we talk about fall of a soul, we are talking about a soul falling from its highest conscious state and then falling to this prakriti and getting bound by the gross body in the prakriti. So that's the discussion that we are going to have today. So, from degrading from the highest conscious state to a gross body. So when soul is in Hansa Deha, or its purest form, it is united with the Supreme Soul. And we also talked about that is the state where soul is in salvated state or the mukta state. Swamiji says that the definition of yoga, or the true definition of yoga, means it is a union. Union of what? Union of two conscious entities. So one of the conscious entity is ordinary souls, the souls like all of us, and the other conscious entity is the Supreme Soul. And in general terms, this is the highest state for a soul. When it is united with the Supreme Soul, we can consider that as the highest state. For sake of simplicity, we will not go into the specifics of soul becoming Sadguru and achieving even higher state. But we will just stick to the highest state that most of the souls can attain, which is Hansadeha. So in Hansadeha, soul is experiencing eternal bliss. And in that state, it completely forgets about its own existence. The state of the soul in the Hansadeha is Loha Agnivat. And what it means is it is like a piece of iron put into a fire. And when it is kept there, the piece of iron becomes hot, it becomes red hot and feels like the iron has become fire itself, right? Also in this state, the soul it is not only experiencing the eternal bliss, but it is also has the complete knowledge. And that knowledge is free from any delusions. It's the purest form of knowledge that soul has, because it actually inherits the properties of Supreme Soul when it is in union with Supreme Soul. You can imagine, Loha Agnivat is one state. You can also have seen, and most of us have seen, a piece of magnet. When it is a piece of iron is gets attracted and is in within the magnetic field of a magnet, that piece of iron also acts as a magnet, right? So it is a similar analogy here. Loha Agnivat is another analogy where piece of iron becomes acts like a fire. So while in this state, a soul may develop a delusion where it starts thinking that this bliss is all because of me, and it also starts thinking that I'm the creator. It develops that aham brahmasmi bhav, where it thinks that I'm the Brahma, right? So Swamiji writes in Swarved, Brahmasmi Brahma Udaya में aham bhava ban आए केवल देह सो जानिए patana moola brahma पाए. So in this couplet, Swamiji is explaining what happens to a soul which is in the purest form of Hansadeha, that aham bhav develops, the contrary knowledge or the incorrect knowledge develops, and that is when the fall of a soul starts. With one impurity, small impurity in the knowledge, small corruption in the knowledge, the fall of the soul starts. That's the beginning. So as soon as soul develops this bhav of aham brahmasmi, the degradation starts. Soul thinks that I am the creator. This bliss is all because of me, and this is actually the first knot or a clutch or clutch of incorrect knowledge. Or in Hindi it is called as agyan ki granthi. So this is the first bondage soul forms when it develops the aham brahmasmi bhav. And this deha is actually called as kaivalya deha, right? So in this, soul is still in a conscious form. However, there is a degradation or corruption in the knowledge. So in the hansa deha, the knowledge was in the purest form. There was no delusion, there was no corruption. So the purest form of knowledge that soul inherited from Supreme Soul. That's the state in the Hansadeha. In Kaivalya Deha, the degradation starts because the corruption in the knowledge, where soul thinks that I am the creator, and that's the corruption. And this state is called as Kaivalya Deha. So, we may wonder, that when both Supreme Soul and the ordinary souls, when they are conscious entities, why soul develops this delusion? What's the reason behind it? If we um, um, So, what's the difference between that, right? What separates Supreme Soul and ordinary souls, because of which, there is no degradation of knowledge in the Supreme Soul, but ordinary souls can have that degradation. So there are some differences between the two. The One of the differences, Supreme Soul's knowledge remains constant all the time. And there is no change in the level of knowledge. The level always remains at the purest form. There are no ups and downs. It always remains the constant. However, the knowledge of the soul can change over a period of time, because Supreme Soul has infinite, you can say, power or the consciousness, right? But the power of the soul is limited, and there can be ups and downs. So when those ups and downs happen, there could be a corruption in the knowledge. So as soon as this impurity of the incorrect knowledge gets developed in the soul, that is when the fall of a soul begins from its conscious state, and then it will ultimately go to the achieve the gross body. So once soul develops this incorrect knowledge, the next step is it gets attracted to the creation, because it starts actually developing strong desire towards materialistic pleasures. This state is called as Mahakaran Deha, or prime causal state. Swamiji writes in Swarved, अर्ध ज्ञान संकल्प दृढ़ दृश्य भोग जड़ होय पतन महाकारण भया भय हंस सचिद सोय भय हंसा सचिद सोय. So soul is now detached from the eternal bliss, and it cannot experience that eternal bliss as it used to experience when it was in union with Supreme Soul, right? Here we need to understand yet another difference between soul and Supreme Soul. Supreme Soul is Satchidananda. That is, it is made up of three words: Sat, Chit, and Anand, right? So Sat means it is eternal, Chit means it is conscious, and Ananda means bliss. So these are the intrinsic properties of Supreme Soul. However, ordinary soul is just Sat Chit, means it is Sat and Chid. That is, it is a eternal entity, and it is a conscious entity. It desires happiness, but the happiness or bliss is not its intrinsic property, right? And since during a discussion of the Hansa Deha, we talked about ordinary soul inheriting properties of Supreme Soul. Bliss is one of those properties, right? So as long as soul is in full union with Supreme Soul, it is going to experience that eternal bliss without any, let's say, distractions, or without any change in the happiness it is experiencing. But once it starts that degradation, once the degradation process starts, then it cannot experience that bliss all the time. It has now detached from the bliss. But it desires that happiness. It is seeking that happiness, and because it cannot again go back and unite with Supreme Soul in that process, it now starts looking for that happiness somewhere else, right? And that is where it gets attracted to the materialistic happiness. Because one thing that we need to understand is once the fall starts, there is no going back without getting a gross body. And then, the whole process we can reverse, but um, it has to, the complete fall will happen. So, so now soul has started seeking for the happiness somewhere else, because that is what it desires. That is what, in fact, if you look at human beings or any other, um, um, species, we all seek happiness. Nobody seeks, sorrows. Nobody seeks, pain, right? So that is a natural tendency, or seeking for the soul. It is seeking for the happiness because it has experienced it. The happiness that soul experienced when it was in supreme soul, those sanskaras are still there, those impressions are still there, and that is why it keeps on seeking it. Even when it is detached from supreme soul, the desire excuse me, the desire of the happiness doesn't go away, it still remains, and that's why now it is seeking for that happiness somewhere else. So we excuse me, I need to go on mute. Sorry. So we discussed three states: Hansadeha, superconscious state, Kaivalyadeha, conscious state, and then Mahakarandeha, prime causal state. So all these states are still, conscious state, pure conscious state. There is no trace of any inertness or grossness yet in the soul. So these three states are still conscious. Now, with a strong desire towards materialistic pleasures, the soul further degrades, and it becomes attracted to the Prakriti, and it actually comes in contact with Prakriti. So, in the Mahakaran Deha, the strong desire has developed, but there is no association with Prakriti yet. In the current deha, which is the next state in the fall of a soul, because of the stronger desire towards materialistic pleasure, it is going to get attracted to Prakriti, and it will come in contact with Prakriti. And Prakriti is a basic building block for this creation. So we talked about atoms and molecules, etc. The physics has not gone to a level where they can still understand the adhyatmic paramanus, which are the basic building blocks, right? Um, so when we talk about soul coming in contact with Prakriti, it is actually now in contact with those adhyatmic paramanus. And Swamiji writes in Swarved, Jada Chetana Sanyog mein Maya Jiva Sambandha, Yogika Karana Deha hai, Jada Fanda Jiva Bandha. So this is the first state of a soul where it has come in contact with Prakriti, and this is where it acquires a second clutch of inertness, or Jada Chetan ki Granthi. So we, at the beginning, right, we talked about soul being a conscious entity, and there is no trace of any jadatva or any grossness or any inertness in that state. But as it falls down and attains the Karan Deha, it is now not in its purest conscious form. It has now acquired another bondage, which is Jada Chetan Granthi. So now it is bound by the inertness of the Prakriti. It is now trapped in the cycle of life and death. So when we talk about the soul going through 84 lakh yonis, this is what this is the beginning of it. So now it has acquired that inertness, grossness of the Prakriti, and now it will go through this cycle. So that is the Karandeha. Now, as it further degrades, now because in the even after coming in contact with Prakriti, the soul still does not have a means to do anything within the Prakriti yet. So as the soul further degrades, it acquires subtle body or Sukshma Deha, where 19 elements get attached. And Swamiji writes in Swarved, पंच प्राण दश इंद्रिया अंतःकरण मिलाए यह तो सूक्ष्म देह है 19 tattva samay. So what are those 19 elements? Those are 5 pranas. So we have pran, apan, vyan, udan, saman. So there are 5 different pranas which basically govern the body. There are 5 organs of action, so our hands, legs, the tongue or speech, 2 organs and 2 organs of excretion. So we have these 5 organs of actions, and then there are 5 sensory organs. So we have sense of smell, taste, touch, vision, and hearing, right? And then there are 4 internal organs or antakarans, which are man, mind, buddhi, intellect, chitta, memory, and ahankar, ego. So these 19 elements make up a sukshma body or subtle body. So these are the subtle versions of the organs which will be later used by, or they will power our gross organs of our body, right? So these, even though these, when we talk about sensory organs and the organs of action, these are in its subtle form, not in the gross form that we see with the gross body, as a body that we have today. So with behind every gross organ there is a there is a sukshma organ, which is, or a subtle organ, which helps us power it, or make it work. And then the last state in the fall of soul is acquiring the gross body, or the sthula deha. So this is the state that we all are in today. We have a gross body that we can see. In this sthula deha, basically how we achieve it, or how we get it. The soul enters mother's womb to acquire sthul or gross body, right? And this is where it also acquires third clutch, which is clutch of karma. And that is where these organs of actions will come into picture. So we can perform karmas with our organs of action. We can also perform karmas with our just mind, thinking about things. So those will all count towards karma. And how this cycle of life and death begins is because as we perform karmas through our gross body, we have to bear fruit of those karmas, right? And we perform so many karmas that we cannot bear fruits of those karmas in one lifetime. We just keep on accumulating karmas, and each karma takes time to mature and give us that fruit, right? So we keep on adding to our baggage. Every time we take a birth, there are very few people who follow the adhyatmic path and able to reach a state where they can get rid of these karmas. But for most of the soul, the baggage of karma is the reason why we have to keep on taking multiple births, right? So it is very essential to understand, that performing karmas is a way to entrap us. However, the I would say sad part is we cannot live without performing karmas, right? So we should understand the right way to perform karmas so that we don't have to at least bear the the bitter fruits of karmas. At the same time, we have to change our conduct in such a way that we are able to start our journey back to our home, which is the way we have fallen down. The spiritual journey is basically reversing it back. Visualize it as, as we fall down, we acquire the layers of these bodies. As we reverse our journey, we have to get rid of these layers and become a purest form, right? So to summarize, soul's fall from its purest form, and getting entrapped in the gross body. um, in this process, it acquires six dehas, or you can visualize them as layers, if you will. Hansa deha, which is super conscious state, that's the highest state for most of the souls, where soul is in its purest form and experiencing eternal bliss. Kaivalya Deha, or conscious state, where the clutch of incorrect knowledge is acquired, Aham Brahmasmi Bhav develops, and the fall starts. The next one is Mahakaran Deha, or prime causal state, um, where the soul develops strong desire of materialistic pleasures. And why it develops that desire? Because it is in that state, it is not experiencing the eternal bliss that it was experiencing in the Hansa Deha, right? And because it is a seeking happiness is always there, it is going to look for that pleasure somewhere else. That is where our next Deha comes, which is Karan Deha, where soul comes in contact with Prakriti and acquires the second clutch of inertness. Once from there, we acquire Sukshma Deha, or subtle body, where 19 elements are attached to the soul, so that soul can interact with the creation. And then Sthul Deha, or gross body, where it acquires the gross body as we know it today, and then it gets acquires the third clutch of karma. So it is really interesting to see how a small corruption in our knowledge um, entraps us in this gross body, and these three clutches of knowledge, incorrect knowledge, jad chetan granthi, and the agyan the karma ki granthi, right? So these three are so difficult to get rid of. So what is the path, right? How do we go back? So there is a way to reverse this fall. There is a knowledge that can help us go back to our home, from where we came, or where our fall began. That knowledge is called as Brahma Vidya, and the teacher of that knowledge is called Sadguru. So all of us are extremely fortunate to have this human body. Why, and specifically at this time? Because we have the teacher of Brahma Vidya, Sadguru, and he is present in the physical form, right? The eternal master, or eternal Sadguru, is always there, but our consciousness is not at that level where we can, let's say, understand the guidance from eternal Sadguru. And that is why we need someone who we can see, who we can hear. We need a human form of the Sadguru who can guide us, because unless our consciousness goes to a subtler level, we cannot we cannot understand signs or the guidance from eternal master, right? So we need a guru, or the master, who can guide us in a physical form. So it's such a rarest opportunity that is available to us right now, and once it is gone, we never know when such an opportunity will come. Let's say, even if that opportunity comes, because of our whatever good deeds we may have done, we don't know what kind of sanskaras would be dominant at that time, right? We know a lot of our behavior is dictated by the sanskaras. What kind of sanskaras are prevailing at that specific time, that becomes, that is how we behave. So we really don't know what state we will be in. Even if that opportunity comes to us, will we be in a state of mind where we will see that as a rarest opportunity again and then grab that opportunity? We don't know, right? So right now is the time um, um, to walk on this path, right? So therefore, we all should make every effort to walk on the path of Vihangam Yoga. So we talked about a knowledge which helps us go back to our home, which is Brahma Vidya. It is nothing but Vihangam Yoga knowledge. And we have Sadguru in the physical form, so we should pray to the Sadguru and ask him to actually hold our hand and take us back to our home. Um, it is very difficult to walk on this path, but we have the guidance from Sadguru and physical form of Sadguru to take us to our home. So with this, I would like to hand it back over to host. Please forgive me and correct me if I have made any mistakes during the talk. Back to you, Ruchiji. Jai Sadgurudev.
Jai Sadgurudeo Sri Rangji. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to you for your invaluable guidance and teachings on Vihangam Yoga and the fall of soul. Your expertise and dedication are definitely helping us enrich our understanding brick by brick and empower us to share the profound knowledge with others. I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to all the participants who are actively engaged in the session. I would like to just open the stage for anyone. If you have any questions, you can come on and let me know if you want to go ahead with any queries.
Jai Sadgurudev. This is Ajay. Can you hear me?
You can go ahead with your question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sri Rangji. Great explanation. Fall of soul from the Hansa Deha to Jada Deha. I have a question. So looks like we are in a virtual game um, where like when we play these video games or any games, we have different layers. We progress and then we again fall. So what is the first step? Like what I mean to say or ask is, by default, when the we all have fallen down from Hansa Deha and we are in this Manusha Deha now. But what is the first Deha that the soul acquires when the soul falls from Hansa Deha, from these 84 lakhs yodis? Um, uh, maybe all of us are in a Manusha Deha, but we may be in a different cycle. Some have gone through the Deva Yonis, Prani Yonis, but what's the default state for the first time once the soul falls down from the Hansa Deha? If you can throw some light. Thank you.
Thanks, Ajayji. Very good question. I think we had discussed this long time ago in one of our NC satsangs. And I think that basically the answer that we came back with was based on our intellectual understanding. So let's understand, right? The first and foremost thing that we have to understand in spirituality is, before a soul gets a body, right, the karmas are chosen. Sanchit karmas are chosen, which are ready for bearing the fruit in this life, right? That is called as prarabdha. So based on those prarabdha, a body is chosen which is suitable to bear those fruits. right? So let's say if someone's prarabdha, or the sanchit karmas which are ready to bear a fruit, a human body is suitable, they will get human body. If someone's this chosen karmas for another soul, if they are suitable, let's say for a dog or a cat, they will get a body of a dog or cat. Another thing that we have to understand is the other yonis or non-human yonis, right? They are bhoga yonis. That means they cannot perform new karmas. Only the human body is capable of performing new karma. So that is why you will see that human body is also valued by Deva Yoni, because in Deva Yoni, even though they have a lot of powers compared to humans, they still don't have capability to perform new karmas, which also means that they cannot achieve salvation. To achieve salvation, they have to come to human body. Now, considering that you need sanchit karmas to decide your prarabdha and get a body. Let's say in hypothetical scenario, right? This is the first time soul is falling. Not the first time, but soul is in the Hansa Deha and it is now falling down. Um, so at this stage, there are no karmas to choose from, right? Because when we look at the salvation process, what happens is as part of the salvation, the sanchit karmas are burnt. Swamiji writes, Brahma Vidya Chingi Udi Lagi Karma Ghar Aag. So all your sanchit karmas will basically get burnt when soul achieves a Hansa Deha, right? In the state of when it achieves salvation through this human body, one thing that's going to happen is burning of all the sanchit karma. So there is no baggage. The soul will still have the prarabdha that it needs to go through, because that was chosen for this life, right? So now looking back at that process, you do not have any sanchit karmas, because soul is in the conscious state. So there is literally no prarabdha, which means there is nothing for you to there are no bhogs that you have. So, because the rest of the yonis are bhoga yonis, uh, you actually cannot get any other body because there is nothing for you to, there are no fruits to bear. So in that case, most logical body that you should get, and again, this is based on our discussion, intellectual discussion, you should get is the human body, because that will allow you, so as to achieve salvation. So if you really look at Supreme Soul's design, the moment you fall, you are given an opportunity to achieve salvation. And um, I think that's the logical explanation, because there is nothing else for you to bear fruits of, and because other yonis are bhoga yonis, you cannot technically you cannot get any other body other than humans. So that is what we came back with. But I would actually also like to hear from other people if they have some other ways to discuss about this. But that's what I would say, Ajay.
Thank you, Sriranjan.
Anyone has any other question, or please, if you want to throw some light on some more explanation, please come and let us know what is this more can be added.
Yes, Sadgurudeo. I have a question on to understand. We talk about different interim bodies, like interim stages, going from Hanste to Mahakaran to Karan, Kaivalya, and then coming to this Sukshma and then Sthul body. When we are looking at other interim stages wherein the soul goes through different processes and Mahakaran, Kaivalya. Do we do we like do we have an understanding of how much time they actually spend on those stages before falling on ultimately to the stool deha, because of the desire to attain happiness, they actually start to come downwards and they keep on falling downwards. But is it like momentary, or is do we understand the timeline, or is there any process to even think about like having some kind of a knowledge to probably try to go back, or is it an ultimate destination that they will come to stool body?
Yes, Suryanshuji. Very good question. Again, I'm going to try to understand it from my intellectual thinking. So when you talk about a timeline, right? We are talking about one of the eternal entity time. So there are six eternal entities. One of them is time, which is neither conscious nor inert. The existence of time is there only in creation. The time ceases to exist in the 3/4 region of Supreme Soul, right? So from that perspective, there is literally a no major for, I would say, first three dehas which are in conscious state, and which are still within 3/4 region of the Supreme Soul. Swamiji has clearly written that there is no time, no set time for mukti. Or when we are in Hansa Deha, there is no specific time that soul will be there. It is the time that soul spends there is beyond our comprehension. I mean, if you really want to measure it, sitting in the Prakriti, if you want to, let's say, say that a soul goes into the 3/4 region, and then somehow if just sit and wait in the Prakriti and see how long it takes for that soul to come back. It is it's a very, very, very long time beyond our comprehension, maybe trillions of years. So there is no time, I would say, for soul to fall from Hansa to Mahakaran, Kaivalya to Mahakaran, right? So those three states, we literally cannot measure time. But our first opportunity to measure time would be when soul comes in contact with Prakriti. Now, because it is in the creation, in the 1/4 zone. So that would be the first opportunity for us to, let's say, start our stopwatch to see how long it takes. Now, again, it also depends on the individual souls, right? Each soul has its individuality. And that is why you will see that based on their sanskaras, right, they are going to perform different karmas, etc. But because we are talking about, let's say, fall, and trying to measure the timeline, we'll probably talk about the whole sequence starting from which begins with contrary knowledge developing and attaining Kaivalya Deha. So in that state as well, each soul has a different power. And why I can say that with certainty is because, when we talk about souls which attain Sadgurupad, they are special souls. They have a different capability to hold power, which means their knowledge is very less volatile compared to rest of the souls. So frankly speaking, I don't know if we can put a timeline for each state, because it is depending upon individual soul's capability and what kind of power they have. Some souls are weaker than others, right? So we can understand that it's going to be different timeline for everyone. So there is probably, the answer would be it varies from soul to soul, and there is no set timeline. It just it's mix of a lot of things which make it hard to predict the timeline for each soul. So maybe I'm wrong, and others can correct, but that is what I can think of.
Thank you, Shretangji. Thank you for the answer. Yeah, it helps.
जैसे Suryanshu ji, where did you join from, Suryanshu ji? You are from Boston area, right?
Yes, from Boston area.
Okay, that's good. I hope you are aware about, we had a word with you, right? You are aware that Swamiji is coming here. The
Yes.
date has changed for inauguration event here on 9th now, 9th of October.
Ji. Yes. Yep. I saw that. Yes. I'll change my schedule. Yep. I'll be there. Ji.
Okay, that's good. Okay. Yeah, just adding a little bit on this aspect where we are speaking about, uh, tagging a duration on the fall of a soul. If you look in the respect of just earthly living only, where the physical body is with a soul and the prarabdha is done, then we leave the body, one body, and then we prepare to go for, we don't prepare, but we are prepared by the system to go to another body. Now, whatever duration it takes for moving from one body to another body, you can say it is like the same amount of time for you to attain the physical body when you fall from the Mukti Dham. Because once you enter in the system of creation, then you are now governed by the law of creation. When your body is ready for you to move in, or when the system is ready for you to move in from Sukshma Deha to Sthul Deha, that much weight we have to do. So for somebody whose prarabdha is aligned with, you know, getting another body, somebody takes the body immediately, where it may take a day or something. For some people, it takes 6 months. For some people, it takes more than a year also, because the prarabdha has to align with the creation, and the body that is destined to get is yet not ready for him to get. So reaching to Sukshma Deha is, if when he said that it is beyond the clutch of time, in that sense we can call it instant. you know if you fall from the Mukti Dham, you are still in the Mukti Dham as long as you are in, the state of Hans Deha, Kaivalya Deha, or the Mahakaran Deha. But Mahakaran is the state which then does not have a rollback. Maybe till Kaivalya you have a rollback, where if Sadguru reminds, then maybe you will roll back to Hansa Deha. But once we are in Kaivalya Deha, sorry, once we are in the Mahakaran Deha, the Mahakaran Deha is the transient Deha, in which you are now kind of attached to a spring meaning a pulling force of desires, which is now going to pull you suddenly into the surrounding of Parmanu. And Mahakaran to Karan is instant. The moment you get into the state of Mahakaran, meaning you are now developing a very strong pulling force for you to enter into Prakriti. So, in that sense, if you look at it, the moment we lose our devotion towards Almighty, all you experience is yourself. You are in Kaivalya Deha. That's why the name is Kaivalya. It's like I am everything. The moment we lose the devotion towards Almighty, then all that we experience is then attributed to our own existence. So even though you are experiencing a thing, but you think this is what I am. So fall from Hans Deha to Kaivalya is also very instant. And then from Kaivalya to Mahakaran is also very instant. In the sense, the moment you have that confusion around you, then the illusion around us, then the experience of the bliss of Almighty is suddenly gone, and all you experience is the creation. And that's why the instant attractions towards creation develops. So everything is very instant, and in those, even though it is in the minuscule scale of time where you cannot even feel that the time is running or time has stopped, it's like beyond the scale of time. But the things are still under the control of Sadguru as long as you are in Kaivalya Deha. But once we enter into Mahakaran state, then we are already attached to a swing which is going to swing you from Muktidham to Prakriti instantly. So Mahakaran is not a state where you even have an opportunity to go back. The moment you develop deep desire for Prakriti, you are already destined now to enter into Prakriti. So it's very instant. So in a way, from Hans Deha to falling into Karan Deha is very instant. You just acquire the illusion around us. The Hans become Kaivalya, Kaivalya become Mahakaran, Mahakaran becomes Karan, and from Karan you develop the Sukshma Deha. That is also it's like reactionary. The moment you are surrounded by the Prakriti, you start building your Sukshma Deha with 19 elements. So that is also very instant. But after that, when will you get the Sthul body? That is now under the law of the creation, law of the karma, where whatever times it takes for a soul to move from one body to another body, you're almost at the same stage where if your body is ready for you to move in, you may move in instantly. If the circumstances are not there yet for you to acquire any sthul day, then we wait for that circumstances to arise. So wait time in this entire fall, we can say it is same as whatever wait time is for a soul to move from one body to another body. We can say like that.
Thank you, Vijayji. Elaborate explanation. It helps. Yes.
Vijayji, I think I also have one question. Uh, as per Shriranji said, like according to her, if we calculate, so first janam of the Deha should be human body because they don't have any karmas, sanchit karmas. But if it is a human body, and human body also have different kind of situation, like spiritual family that you're getting, or you're getting more struggling family. So how it should have been decided that this particular day soul will get a particular situation to deal with and to start their journey of karmas.
It is as simple as what you are attracted to.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we are falling with an attraction. So whatever we are attracted to, now for when the soul is coming from Hansa Deha to the Sthul Deha, at that point of time, soul is beyond the um definition of rich and poor. Soul only the reason for fall of a soul is the bhog. It has come to acquire some bhog. Now, whether it becomes a rich family as a medium to reach to that bhog, or a poor family for that soul to reach to that bhog, the rich and poor, this definition is tagged to the person who have gone through it. But for that soul who is coming from Hans Deha to Sthul Deha, actually it is just the same for that soul. even at this point, if anybody who who simplify their life, you know, when you're in the utmost simplicity, whether you're living in a mahal or living in a jhopadi, if you're at a very simpler need, all you need is that food, that food which is in the raw format available to everybody. The nature has given the tree and the jungle and things for everybody. So there's certain simpler need which applies equivalently to all um, section of life. If we think from that perspective, then this doesn't matter whether the soul is falling into rich or poor. The reason it makes a difference for us is because now we have developed raga of different kinds. We have lived in a luxurious life, so we have raga for that. We have lived in a poor life, so we have dvesh for that. We want to save ourselves from that experience, but all those are not there with Hans Deha yet. So Hans Deha, even though it falls into, let's say, poor family, it is not a curse for the soul, but it is a blessing for the soul, because then it has less chances to get misguided by the allures of Maya, because it is already, in fact, it's a gifted, it's a blessings to fall in a family where there are constraints, because only when you live a constrained life in this Maya, then only you have chances to develop detachment from these. So please don't look at it, oh, even though he fell from Hans there, he fell into a poor family. No, maybe it's a blessing for him. So whatever kind of desire the soul has developed, accordingly it will get the family. Yeah. And also just one thing to add here, that there is always a cycle of creation and dissolution. The pralaya and srishti, this is also an eternal cycle. When we say eternal cycle, meaning there is also an eternal cycle of fall of a soul from Muktidham and the salvation from this Prakriti to Muktidham. These are all eternal cycle. So never ever you can put a line that, okay, there was no soul in the earth and all souls are in the zone of immortality. There is never a time like that. It's anadi. It's without a beginning. It has been always a cycle like that. So at any point of time when the new srishti, the new creation began, there are already infinite number of souls in this zone of creation itself, waiting for creation to happen, because they have not yet been able to go back to the zone of immortality, amarlok. They are not, they're still hanging here itself, waiting for creation to happen. And they are hanging with all their bhoga from the previous creation, all their karma from the previous creation. So the moment the creation happens, all different infinite number of yonis are created by the Almighty. And those souls who were supposed to acquire different bodies like insect, animals, birds, the very first body that they acquire based on their prarabdha is those bodies. When the first time creation happens after dissolution, after pralaya. So every time the creation happens, all yonis are required, because they are souls who are destined to attain those different bodies, because they have that kind of prarabdha from the previous creation. There are souls who are hanging here not just for one yuga, but for entire cycle of pralaya and creation, and still the soul continues to be stuck in this creation. And this is where we understand the glory of Sadguru, that only Sadguru as a savior then shows his mercy on the soul, and those stuck here for not yuga and yuga, but for creation and pralaya, stuck here and yet not got the mukti. Sadguru shows mercy and then adopt that soul and then guide that soul to mukti. This is the glory of Sadguru. Yes.
It's a good discussion.
I'm sorry.
This is Hasmukh.
Okay.
Vijayji, one thing I have always wondered about, the soul moves from one body to one body after death to take another birth. During 9 months of process of creation of a new body, at what point does this subtle body enters the new body? What is the process?
Yeah. Sant Pravarji had very beautifully and simply, in simple word, defined this process. He said that once we leave the gross body, of course, we continue with the subtle body in the space. So we are in the space waiting for the circumstances where we'll be pushed to the next body. Now, when the time comes, what happens is the subtle body is through rain brought down to the earth in the soil. It goes into grains, and the father have the grain, so it enters into father's body. Then with the sperm, the body enters into mother's womb. So right from the day of inception, the body is already there, but it is not awake. You know, when we are in the space also, the soul is not awake. Soul has no experience of what has happened after I left the body. When it gains the consciousness, it gains the consciousness only when it has already gone through all this process and entered into mother's womb, and a certain stage of body is developed. Then only the movement starts. Otherwise, the soul is dormant. Soul remains dormant for that long. That's why you, even though the soul is present in the body right from day one, where the body started making progress, in the sense the heart is developed and then the other parts of the body is developed. During all that, the soul was present, but there was no conscious move in the soul at that point. It's dormant. And only when the tamogun, it's like sleep, a deep sleep. You know, when we go into the deep sleep, we are disconnected from all our indriyas. We are still having one vritti, which is called nidra vritti, where we have a sense of I slept for a good amount of time. We get that sense, but we do not get a sense of the creation and the things happening around it. Only sense that we get it that, oh, I was in a deep sleep for looks like a long duration. We get that sense. Or today we didn't get a good sleep. So even when we go in the deep sleep, even though we are disconnected, because we are a conscious entity, when we say dormant, here dormant is only the physical sense, but soul still has a realization of its existence. So similarly, in that stage also, you don't have experience of pain and suffering or anything unless the physical sense is awakened. So there are stages where, of course, for majority of the people, the moment you lose one body, you get into the physical dormancy, where you lose the physical sense, and then your own existence you are experiencing only in the nidra vritti, meaning you actually have no sense of what's going on in that stage, but only sense that you have is about your existence, that you exist. That's the only experience you have, but you have no experience of what stage you are in, which things you are in, nothing. only when you acquire the physical sense back, by then you're already into another body. That's when you start, little bit of movement also. So yeah, just to give you a plain answer, the soul is there in the mother's womb right from day one.
Thank you.
Ji, Jai Sadgurudeo. Very beautiful to listen, Vijayji, all these clarifications. One other thing I just want to add, or maybe Vijayji, feel free to clarify that once that happens in the mother's womb, then looks like it's uh, after a couple of weeks, in the order of 4 or 5 months, um, the heart pumping begins into that body. So that means the consciousness begins to happen in that body. So as per the shastras, it is prescribed that any abortion that is done after 2 months or 3 months, when that body is developed, it is almost murdering that soul which has uh, which was destined to to take that body, and that body has been removed. So that in the political discussions, this is a big issue, right? And because people have no clarity into these details, there's an ambiguity there. I mean, it's not that some of the Western religions don't have this, but they're not able to go into the level of detail that we are actually discussing, and that is described in our shastras. And as a result of that, there's so much debate around that. So after 4 or 5 months, literally, if that abortion is happening, it's a suicide. So it's a murdering of that soul. Now, another very, very, very interesting thing that happens is, from the time that consciousness has happened into that body, inside the mother's womb, till the birth, there is a lot of suffering that happens actually, which is also described in the soul. And apparently, during that time, they say that the moment of birth, moment of death, is most painful thing that happen in the journey of the soul. And of course, there's a sukh, dukh, dvesh in between when we are living in this world. But those two are the most painful moments. And so that is another very important thing to be known. It's very much recommended for mothers to what to eat, how to meditate, and all those kind of things are prescribed, so as to provide more better environment for the body. And apparently, during that time, the Almighty presents the that a lot of background about that soul is basically shown. He's also shown after the death, when some sort of a narak or swarg has to happen, but he's also shown during this time, and then there's so much suffering that body has to go through, that he eventually prays that, okay, this time when I come out, I will find my way to you. I will do bhakti. I will do. So please let me come out, because this is unbearable. So there's a lot of thing that happens there. And then when the birth happens, then all this conditioning happens, and then we get lost, and all that memory is wiped out. And then we come back and live this world, and that's when in Amritwani Swamiji says that hum bhog bhogte, hame bhogi bhog jate hain. So that's what happens. So I think this something that a lot of awareness will help people, but we forget about this. So just wanted to add that. And Vijayji, please clarify if something that I said was a little bit off the your understanding. Yeah, thanks.
No, very well said. Yeah, thanks, Renji.
But
Yeah.
thank you for all of your inputs. Yeah. And now we have reached the last phase of today's satsang. I request everyone to sit down for Shanti Path. In Shanti Path, we chant for peace for everyone in this universe. May Sadgurudeo bless the entire cosmos with peace, love, and prosperity. I would now request Dev Ji to recite the last few lines of Shanti Path for us.
Jai Gurudev. Hey Prabhu Shanti Sarupa Ho. Shanti Shanti Maya Shanti. Shanti Shanti Jana Shanti Ho. Purna Shanti Maya Shanti. Hey Prabhu Shanti Pradana Kara. Duraho Sarva Shanti. Deva Sadafala Shanti Maya. Shanti Shanti Sukha Shanti. Jai Gurudev Bhagwan Ki Jai. Thank you.
For the recitation of soulful Shanti Path. I would like to thank all of you for joining today's satsang. I encourage everyone to ponder upon the topic we discussed today. I would like to extend a heartfelt thanks to Sulbhaji, Srirangji, Ajay Mujarji, Suryanshuji, Vijayji, Hasmukh Patelji, and Niranjanji for your valuable inputs and participation in the satsang. And definitely your seva and active engagement and session, and for the team behind this for organizing and coordinating that satsang is very inspiring. I pray to Sadgurudev for the peaceful and spiritual week ahead for all of us. See you all next Sunday at 9 a.m. EST on the same Zoom link. Have a wonderful day and week ahead. Jai Sadgurudev.